For the given example, function is equal to the piecewise composed of x plus 1 when x is greater than 2, x squared minus 1 when x is less than or equal to. So in this case, the first that we have to solve is the right-hand limit. So solve for the right-hand limit of the function as x approaches 2. So pag sinabing right-hand, that means greater values of x that is greater than 2 or closest to 2 on the right side. So that includes 2.1, 2 point something. So we can use 2.001 since we are talking about the closest. If x is 2.001, if we follow this equation, x plus 1, that gives you 2.001 plus 1, which is equal to 3.001. So, using the first equation, your answer is 3.001. And to get the limit, you have to round it off to the nearest whole number. Your answer now will be 3. Okay, since you are talking to limit, about limit, the answer is 3. For number 2, we solve for the left-hand limit naman. So, pag sinabing left-hand limit, those are the values less than 2. So, closest to 2 on the left side will be 1.9999. Okay? So, that condition, that will satisfy this condition itong second. Kasi less than daw siya sa 2. And we'll follow the equation x squared minus 1. So, if we use 1.999, let me show here the solution. So, ito yung kukunin nating equation. You'll use 1.9999 as your value of x. 1.999 squared is 3.996. And then subtract 1 from this 3.996. This will give you 2.996, which is also equal to 3. Okay? So therefore, for your left-hand limit, the answer is also 3 based on your solution. Okay? So the left-hand limit is 3. And then third, we solve for the limit of the function as x approaches 2. This is solved by checking the left-hand and the right-hand limit. So since the left-hand and the right-hand limit are equal, we can now say that the limit is also 3. Okay? So the limit exists and it is equal to 3. And then next, we solve for f of 2 or the value of the function when x is equal to 2. So, titingin ka dun sa condition mo, 1 is when greater than 2, 1 is when less than or equal. So, kapag 2 ang value ng x natin, dito siya papatak sa equal, less than or equal. And we'll follow this equation. So, you'll have x squared minus 1. That will be 2 squared minus 1. 2 squared is 4 minus 1. That gives you the answer of 3 pa din. So, f of 2 is also equal to 3. Based on the solution, it is also equal to 3. And then lastly, we solve for f of negative 3. Okay? F of negative 3, so negative 3 is in this bracket pa din. Less than 2 siya. So, you'll still use x squared minus 1. So, using x squared minus 1, we have negative 3 as our x. We square it, minus 1. And then negative 3 squared is 9 minus 1. That gives you the answer of 8. So, for f of negative 3, our answer is 8. Okay? So, for piecewise function like this, you have to identify kung saan siyang condition nagfo-fall and you have to use kung ano yung equation na katapat nun. Okay? So, clarification, when you are asking for limit, you use the closest value, yung may mga decimal. And then you round off the answer. For the limit itself, you have to check the left hand and the right hand limit first. When they are equal, the equal value is the limit itself. When they are not equal, the limit does not exist. And for questions like this, f of 2 or f of x, that means you are to solve the value of the function when you substitute this particular value inside the equation. Okay, so that is for this part. We'll proceed with the graph. So the graph is shown like this. Okay? The first question will be limit of the function as x approaches the left hand limit or the left side of 1, the left hand limit of the function as x approaches 1. So, ang 1 natin, if this is 2, edi yung halfway, ito yung 1 natin. Okay, wala lang siyang nakasulat pero you have to identify kung ano yung values niya. So, kung ito ay 2, yung halfway, dun magpa-fall yung 1 mo. And then, left hand ng 1 is the green graph. Itong green na graph. So, your left hand limit is, you are to look at the graph like this. Pabalik doon sa 1. Dapat ay palapit kayo doon sa boundary nyo. Your boundary is in 1. Okay? So, ang gana ng tingin nyo ay palapit lagi doon sa boundary na yon. So, as x approaches 1 on the left side, ano yung katapat niya sa y-axis? So, ang katapat niya is halfway din dito. This is also negative 1. So, your answer for this, the left hand of the function as x approaches 1 will be negative 1. Okay? Uulitin natin. 1 is your boundary on your x-axis. Kasi sabi as x approaches 1. When you are moving, going to that point, pagdating nyo dito sa particular point na ito, titingnan nyo kung ano yung katapat sa y. And in this case, ang katapat niya sa y is negative 1. Okay? So, our answer for the left-hand limit as x approaches 1 is negative 1. And then, the next question is the right-hand limit of the function as x approaches 1. So, doon naman kayo sa right side titingin, the red graph. Okay? So, susundan nyo siya, papalapit ng papalapit dun sa 1. And pagdating nyo sa point na ito, dito yung katapat ng 1, di ba? Ano yung magiging katapat nito sa y-axis? So, in this case, in between 2 and 3, that is negative 2 and, between negative 2 and negative 4, so that is negative 3. That is now your right-hand limit. And based on that fact, okay, since the left hand and the right hand limit are different, for your limit of the function, as x approaches 1, your limit will be d and e, or your answer is the limit does not exist. Why? Because your right hand limit and your left hand limit are not equal. They are different values. And as you can see in the graph, hindi sila at least man lang magkadikit. Okay? So the limit does not exist for this question. Next to that, let's say you are asked of the limit for the function as x approaches 4. Okay, so let's say you are to solve for the left-hand limit. So, ang 4 natin is, if this is 2, then the second one, this is 3, and then this is your 4, and dito yung 4 mo. So, ito yung boundary natin. Left-hand limit is itong red. So, pabalik or palapit ka dun sa 4 up until you reach that part. Okay? So, clearly, nandun ka sa iyong mismong x-axis. So, what is the value of y when you are at the x-axis? Value of y here is 0. So, your left-hand limit here is equal to 0. And then, when you are asked of the limit for the right hand, okay, so, dun ka naman titingin sa kulay blue. Since this is on the x-axis itself, lapit ka ng lapit dun sa 4. Pag stop dun, nasan pa rin ba siya? Nandun pa rin siya sa x-axis. So, that will still be equal to 0. And when it happens that the left-hand limit and the right-hand limit are the same, you can say that the limit now, as x approaches 4, is also 0. Okay? Since parehas yung left-hand and right-hand limit. We'll now proceed with f of 1. Okay? So, we solve for the value of f of 1. F of 1. So, what is the value of the function when your x is equal to 1? So, you look at this boundary dito sa 1 mo. Saan dito may defined point? So, as you can see, dito tayo may defined point, and that is opposite of negative 2. So, f of 1 is now equal to negative 2. Dun lang po kasi siya defined. Okay? Next, How about f of 4? So, nasan yung 4 natin? Andito yung 4. This one. So, natatakpan lang siya dyan in the graph. Dito sa sinulatan ko. Pero, that is also a defined point here. So, if that is defined point at the x-axis, your answer for f of 4 is also 0. Okay? And then, for f of 2, titingin ka naman dun sa tapat ng 2 natin, that is here. So, wala ka dyan nakikitang shaded dot. But, as you can see, meron ka dyang dumaan na graph. So, therefore, nandito sa f of 4 na ito, ano yung katapat niya? Ito, hindi naman siya unshaded, hindi siya whole. So, meaning, defined pa din siya kahit wala siyang point. Kasi part siya ng graph. So, it is an exact position sa katapat ng 2. Ang katapat niya dito sa y-axis is negative 8. So, you'll answer negative 8 for f of 2. And lastly, f of 0, okay, doon naman tayo sa 0, meron din tayong dumaan doon na graph. Okay? At 0, ano yung nasa origin siya dumaan? So, your y value there is also 0. So, for f of 0, the answer is 0 kasi nasa origin siya mismo. Okay? So, for the graph, kailangan susundan nyo yung direction niya going close to your C, kung ano yung binigay na C. Okay? Same pa din ang rule. Kung magkaiba ang right hand at left hand, D and E ang ating function. If they are the same, kung ano yung pinagparehasan nila na value, yun yung answer natin. And for f of 1, f of 4, f of 2, or f of 0, titingnan nyo kung siya ay saan nag-defined point or nag-shaded point. Okay? And now, we will proceed with the third part of the exam, which is solving for the limit or applying limit laws. For limit laws, kailangan nyo palagi tandaan na dapat yung inyong function is simplified, factored, na-factor na siya. So, let's say ang given sa atin ay limit of the function x plus 3 all over x squared plus 4x minus plus 3. Okay? As x approaches negative 3. So, first and foremost, you cannot substitute agad-agad itong negative 3 sa ating function. Unless, sure na kayo na ay ito'y wala ng factor. Pero in this case, meron pa po tayong factor. So, the limit of the function as x approaches negative 3 for this equation, if a factor out natin to, the factors of the denominator will be x plus 1 times x plus 3. And then, may makikita kayong pwedeng makancel. So, we will cancel x plus 3, x plus 3. So, ang matitira sa atin is 1 over x plus 1. And then, hindi na siya factorable. Only then, you will apply negative 3. Only then, you can substitute negative 3. So, you'll have 1 over negative 3 plus 1. So, that will be 1 over negative 2. So, for our answer, the limit of the function as x approaches negative 3 is negative 1/2. So, as you can see, ang sinagot natin ay negative 1/2. Hindi negative 1 over 2, hindi 1 over negative 2. So, yung negative sign nyo dapat ay nandun na sa buong fraction. Okay? So, negative 1/2. Kasi positive divided by negative is negative. So, ilalabas nyo na yung negative sign. So, in this case, what we did, we made sure na factored out na yung ating equation before tayo nag-substitute. And then, plain substitution, the answer is negative 1/2. Let's proceed with the second example. Our given is limit of the function x squared minus 16 all over 2x minus 8 as x approaches 4. Okay? Pag sinubstitute nyo ang 4 dito, matik mag-undefined yan. Pero, tingnan ulit natin, baka naman ito ay factorable. But yes, these are all factorable din. So, factor out natin sila. This is an example of difference of 2 square. So, ang factor niya ay x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay? All over, factor of this by common factor, we factor out 2 times x minus 4. And then we can cancel x minus 4. We'll be left with x plus 4 over 2. Okay? Saka pa kayo magsa-substitute. So, substitute 4, that will be 4 plus 4 over 2, which is 4 plus 4 is 8 divided by 2. Your answer now for the limit is equal to 4. Okay? So, 4 ang sagot natin dito sa given na ito. Uulitin natin, for limit loss, you have to factor first the equation before substituting. Okay? Next to that, how about if we are to solve limit at infinity? So, ang given natin, limit of the function 3x to the 6th minus 4x plus 5 all over x cubed minus 2x squared minus 1. Of course, as x approaches negative infinity. Okay? So, makikita nyo negative infinity. First step, identify the highest exponent. Okay? Identify the highest exponent in the denominator. And then, highest exponent is 3. So, your divisor will be x cubed. And then, divide each term by x cubed. Kita natin. So, divide mo lahat ng x cubed yan. And then, lahat pati denominator. X cubed divide by x cubed. And then, pagkatapos nyo siya i-divide, simplify lang natin. Cancel. Okay? So, we'll have this. Look. Okay. Magka-cancel tayo. Cancel x cubed. We have 3x cubed left minus 4 over x squared kasi maka-cancel to. Plus, retain 5 over x cubed all over. Cancel. Pag nag-cancel kayo nito, 1 pa rin yan. Okay? Hindi siya mawawala. 1 siya. So, 1 minus, cancel x squared, 2 over x, minus, retain 1 over x cubed. After this, i-apply nyo yung rule. Limit at infinity kapag ang ating itsura ay a over x raised to n, nagsi-0 yan. Okay? So, limit at infinity, apply muna natin yung rule for that. We'll have here, retain natin yung 3x cubed kasi hindi siya magsi-0. Minus, ito 0 na to. Ito 0 na din. Okay? All over, ito 1, retain siya. Minus, 0 na din. Minus 0 na din. So, technically, you are left with 3x cubed. But remember, meron pa kayo dito na isa-substitute, which is yung negative infinity. So, substituting negative infinity, we have 3 times negative infinity cube. Negative infinity cube, ibig sabihin on negative times negative times negative. Tatlong negative pa din yun. And negative infinity times 3, that is still negative infinity. So, the limit of the function as x approaches negative infinity is negative infinity. Okay? So, ang ginawa natin for infinity is, we identify the highest exponent, divide each term by the highest exponent, apply yung rule, magsi-0 yung ating a over x raised to n, and then substitute the infinity, and then simplify. Okay? And lastly, we proceed with describing the continuity of a function. So, ang given natin dyan, we have g of x is equal to x minus 1 all over 2x squared minus x minus 1 as x approaches 0. Okay? So, kapag kaganito, first, yung ating first rule, kailangan f of c is defined. So, ang f of c, basic substitution lang yun. Isa-substitute mo lang po itong 0 sa equation. Wala kang gagawin. So, f of 0, g of 0 is equal to 0 minus 1. Nilalagay ko lang yung 0 sa x. 2 times 0 squared minus 0 minus 1. So, this is negative 1. Ito. 0 to minus 0 over negative 1. So from here, we have g of 0 is equal to positive 1 kasi negative divided by negative is positive. That is for A. For letter B, we have to solve for the limit. Limit of g of x as x approaches 0. Okay, since meron kang equation, a-apply ka ng limit laws. Pwede ka din naman mag-apply ng table kung gusto mo. Okay, so limit laws is the easiest. You just have to factor. Uulitin ko, mayroong mga cases na nagkakataon lang siya na tumama yung sagot nyo by substitution. Pero, the exact rule in applying limit law is you have to factor first. Okay, factor first muna. So, factor natin yung function na binigay. We have x minus 1 over factors of 2x squared minus x minus 1 will be, I'll show you how to factor that. The product of 2 and negative 1 is negative 2. Okay? The product of 2 and negative 1 is negative 2. So, we have to factor negative x in a way that the answer will be negative 1 pag pinag-add nyo. So, we have 2x squared minus 2x plus x minus 1. Okay? So, pag pinag-add nyo tong negative 2x at saka x, ang sagot dyan ay negative x. Pag pinag-times yung negative 2 at saka 1, ang answer doon is the product of negative 1 and 2. Yung extremes natin. Tapos, you will apply factoring by grouping. I-group nyo yung may common term. So, you have 2x squared minus 2x. Group natin yan. Plus x minus 1. And then, factor out mo dito. 2x times x minus 1 plus x minus 1. And then, di ba, meron kang 1 dito na hindi sinusulat before. So, ibig sabihin, your factors will be 2x plus 1, itong nasa unahan, tsaka yung 1 na nandito, hindi nakasulat. Tsaka yung parehas mong term. Okay? Times x minus 1. So, that is what we call factoring by grouping. So, the factors of 2x squared minus x minus 1 will be 2x plus 1 times x minus 1. Okay? X plus 1 times x minus 1. So, lagay natin siya dito. Okay. And then, magka-cancel na tayo ng x minus 1. We'll be left with 1 over 2x plus 1. Saka pa kayo magsa-substitute ng 0. So, we have here 1 over 2 times 0 plus 1. And therefore, you have here 1 plus, ito ay 0, so 1 over 1. Which is the limit now of the function as x approaches 0 is equal to 1. That is now our answer. Okay? So, if A and B are both equal to 1, therefore, pagdating nyo dun sa letter C, you can write g of 0 is equal to the limit of g of x as x approaches to 0. You should not miss this part. Ito'y kasama sa condition. This is one of the conditions na kailangan natin ma-meet. So, kahit kayo ay may solution for this part, this one justify that continuity. So, dapat kasama din to sa isusulat nyo in your answer. So, if A, B, and C are all satisfied, you can now write, therefore, the function is continuous at x equals 0. Okay? The reasons are g of 0 is equal to 1, limit of the function is equal to 1, and they are both equal to each other. So, the function now, as discussed, the continuity, it is continuous at x equals 0. And that would be all for the summative assessment. Sana ay naintindihan nyo ang given and good luck on your exam.